Be careful what you wish for. While I have long dreamed of the death of feminism, I was always hoping that it would be killed off by a return to traditionalism, a time where men can be men and women can be women. While we are seeing the death of feminism, it is unfortunately coming at the hands of a new ideology where men can be women and women can be men. That is right. Feminism has been killed by transgenderism. So, we have this from Breitbart. California lawmakers poised to pass a bill to allow men to pick their sex before incarceration, giving a whole new meaning to the term California penal system. So, I know that was low-hanging fruit, but whatever. LGBT activists have been lobbying California lawmakers to pass legislation that will allow biological men to be put in into women's prison populations, and now a bill to do just that is poised for approval. Poised for approval. Gee, it's not going to cause any problems whatsoever putting convicted felons, male convicted felons, into a prison full of women. Nothing can go wrong there, can it? Activists argue that biological men who want to live as women or transgender women face danger if they are incarcerated with other men. You know who else faces danger when incarcerated with men? Other men. Prisons are dangerous places. That's why you don't commit crimes unless you want to go to prison, which is a dangerous place. From the San Francisco Chronicle interviewed men living as women. As a transgender woman, Jasmine Jones said California's prison system constantly put her life at risk during the 17 years she spent behind bars by housing her among men. Jones said that she was assaulted repeatedly and raped 3 times in men's prisons. Guards mocked her identity, Jones said, and forced her to undergo humiliating strip searches that exposed her in public. Let me fix that for you. A mentally ill man suffering from gender dysphoria, Jasmine Jones said California's prison system constantly put his life in danger, put his life at risk during the 17 years he spent behind bars by housing him among men. Jones said he was assaulted repeatedly and raped 3 times in men's prisons. Guards mocked his identity, Jones said, and forced him to undergo humiliating strip searches that exposed him in public. Now, let me break this down a little bit, because I actually know a little bit about the prison systems and how they work and all of that. And this is a man seeking special treatment from what other men have to deal with when they're in prison. So, they constantly put his life at risk. Everybody's life is constantly at risk when you're in prison. Prisons are run by gangs. What's next? Are we going to say that whites and blacks and Hispanics can't all be in the same prison because they bifurcate in gangs upon racial lines? I don't think so. I don't see that happening. And also, 17 years behind bars means that you did something pretty damn bad. You don't get 17 years for being a non-violent offender. So what are we going to do? Put someone behind bars for or put a violent offender who committed a crime that merited 17 years behind bars in with a bunch of women? I think not. Jones said that he was assaulted repeatedly and raped 3 times in men's prisons. I'm sorry, but transgender people are not the only ones that get raped in prison. And if you were in prison for 17 years and only got raped 3 times by, there are men, straight men, who go to prison and get a lot worse treatment than that. So I'm not sure that this really merits any kind of special exception to the rule. Guards mocked his identity. Well, yeah, look, that goes with the territory. When you're a man who thinks they're a woman, it's going to get mocked because it is loony. That is why it was a mental disorder all the way up until yesterday. And forced them to undergo humiliating strip searches. Now, here's the thing. whenever any kind of inmate goes out on a work detail where they leave the prison and come back in, or for any other, I'm sure there are other reasons too, but they get strip searched every time they come into the prison. All people in prison face that, whether you're male, female, whatever. So this person is basically saying that, they're complaining that they got treated the same as everybody else by having to do these strip searches that exposed them. All it did was hurt their feelings because it exposed to themselves that they really are a man. That's what it's really all about here. And so they weren't going to protect me. Again, welcome to prison. Referring to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation officers. I know that for a fact. The only person that was going to protect me was myself. That is kind of how prisons operate. But what are you going to do? So they're talking about this man who got raped 3 times in 17 years, which, yes, that's a terrible thing. But imagine putting a bunch of men and just allowing men to say, oh, by the way, I'm a woman. I want to go to a woman's prison. What do you think that is going to do to all of the women who are in women's prisons? Women's prisons are going to be turned into state raping grounds. There is no other way that is going to turn out. When people realize that they can skirt the law, and all of a sudden they're now, I'm gonna deal with life in prison around nothing but a bunch of men, or I can, I'll just say I'm a woman, and then I can go and get laid for the rest of my life in prison, whether it's by force or not. I mean, this is insanity. What are these people thinking? Do they not understand the ramifications for this? For allowing men to choose to go into a woman's prison? Because at the end of the day, just wipe the whole transgender thing aside. Because there's nothing that you have to do to prove that you're transgender. This is just saying that they're going to let men pick their sex before going to prison. What man is not going to choose to go to a woman's prison? That is, they are throwing women to the wolves with this. When I wanted feminism to die, I didn't want it to die this hard. Bruce Willis didn't die this hard. Jeez. This is sacrificing the masses for the feelings and for the scenario for the situation of a very small group of people. They're going to and this is what we're seeing a lot from the left and this is why Donald Trump won, is that for years and years and years, the majority, the masses, were completely brushed aside so that they could cater to these most minutia groups. And so that they would always get preferential treatment, and it did not matter the cost to the majority of people. This is a reflection of that, pure and simple. So let's see. Democrats, of course it's a Democrat. Really, yeah, of course we know it's a Democrat. I don't even know why I acted so sanctimonious about it's a Democrat. Of course it's a Democrat. Democrat State Senator Scott Wiener. Really? His name's Wiener? Sponsored SB 132, which would allow people to pick what sex they want to be before they are placed in prison. Again, if you can just pick what sex you want to be before going to prison, what man is going to choose to go to an all-male prison when they can go and be amongst women? Now, that doesn't mean that they're all going to go there and rape women. Of course, some are going to go there and hope that they just find chicks to hook up with in prison. But there's going to be a lot of rape in there, too. Absolutely. Seriously, what man... I can't even come up with words to describe how asinine this is. These people need to be in straitjackets if they think this is a good idea. They need to be in mental institutions. In most cases, the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation now houses transgender and other gender variant people in prisons according to their sex assigned at birth. Yes, because that is what sex they are. You cannot change. You cannot just say, oh, I'm a woman, and therefore you no longer have the hormones of a man, you no longer have the body parts of a man, you no longer have the the mentality and the physical, the bone density of a man, the muscle structure of a man. You're still going to have all that. And from the sounds of it, they're just saying, we're going to let you pick which prison you go to. Trans women in particular are at such extreme risk of brutalization in men's facility, Weiner said. We need to treat them with the basic respect and dignity they reserve. Well, what about regular women? What about the regular women who are going to be at extreme risk of brutalization when a bunch of men start entering their prisons? They don't care. They don't care. And you know what? When you go to prison, you do not get, you lose your freedom for a reason. You don't get to have everything catered to you when you're in prison. If you're going to prison, you're going to prison for a reason. I remember when it was a huge deal back in the 90s, when there was all kinds of uproar when certain prisons wanted to put HBO. They wanted to give the prisoners HBO. And people were like, what the hell are you doing spending state resources giving prisoners HBO? Now you're letting them choose what prison they go to. Now you're just turning the prisons into rape grounds, just so that you can appease the sensibilities of the mentally ill. How about this? Send them to a criminal psych ward instead. Send them to a criminal mental institution for their sentence. Because that is what transgenderism is. It is a mental disability. Corrections spokeswoman Terry Thornton said that all prisoners are protected from violence. How could a spokeswoman, be on board with this? This is so disturbing. CDCR maintains a zero tolerance policy for sexual assault, sexual violence, staff sexual misconduct, and retaliation, Thornton said in an email. Guess what? You can have a zero tolerance policy. It's still gonna happen, as proven by this Jasmine Jones herself. Data from the state shows that of the 102,000 people jailed in California, slightly more than 1,000 are transgender, non-binary, or intersex people. I'm willing to bet that the majority of those didn't identify as transgender, non-binary, or intersex before the last 5 years. We can't keep going on like this. We cannot keep going on where we throw the masses, we throw the majority onto the sacrificial fire. Where we slit the throats of the masses to appease the gods of the few. This is going to backfire big time. I think we are going to see, I think this is going to lead to lawsuits from women who end up getting raped in prison because of pure negligence, because of pure ideologically driven negligence, that it could end up bankrupting the state of California, even though the state of California is likely already bankrupt. We know they're morally bankrupt, that's for damn sure. But this is on a whole new level of insanity. Whole new level. I can't even understand the thought process of these people. It's like they want people to suffer. I don't know, guys. Anyways, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go ahead and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Ram Thorburn. And if you're interested in contributing to the channel, there are links to my Subscribe Star, Patreon, and PayPal down in the description below. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.